Today, we are actually talking about hormone-friendly morning routines for a low-stress start to the day. And I don't know about you guys, I am the type of person where how I start my day is typically how the rest of the day goes. If I start my day being super chaotic, out of routine, late, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, that's kind of the energy that I bring into the rest of the day. For me, a morning routine is really, really important, and starting my morning with low stress and supporting my hormones really helps me feel my best throughout the day. And I know you guys probably see all of these trends on TikTok or Instagram, I guess too now, Reels, where it's morning routines and everybody shows their morning routines. People act like they have 3 hours to do a morning routine. And I'm like, when did this become a thing? Do people not have lives that they need to tend to? And I'm sure you guys listening in, you have your career, you have your family, if you're in a relationship, maybe you have a partner or a spouse to factor into that. You have kids, right? You have other things that you need to do, chores, life duties. So having these 3-hour morning routines where you're waking up, meditating for 30 minutes, journaling for 30 minutes, making a fancy matcha or a coffee, doing a yoga, going for a walk, all of these things in the morning isn't really realistic in my personal opinion. So today we're keeping it realistic. The beauty of this is that it's customizable, right? You want to pick and choose little pieces of things of morning routines and play around with them and test them out. And if they work well for you, amazing. Keep them in your routine, keep doing them. But if they don't, it's not the end of the world, right? You tried it. Everybody is different. Nobody's morning routine is going to look the same. And, there's been so many times where I'll see something on social media and I'll be like, oh, that looks really good. And then I'll do it and I'll just be like, yeah, this is not for me, right? So you do really have to play a little bit of trial and error to see what works best for you. This can look different in different seasons of your life. Just to give you a couple examples, if you're somebody who has really, really busy seasons at your job, but then you have seasons that are a little bit slower, a little bit more lax, you take some more time off, right? Your morning routines are probably going to look different in those seasons. You're somebody who works shift work. It's going to look completely different too. If you're an entrepreneur, you might have days that are heavier loaded with client calls and whatever you're doing versus the days that are more back-end work and a little bit slower and at your own pace, right? You're not really adhering to anybody else's schedule, just your own. So just keep that in mind, right? It's okay for your morning routine to change. This idea that things need to stay the same to be successful. And while yes, the overall arching idea of consistency is important, making changes within the specifics, is warranted sometimes. We're going to know when that needs to happen. If your morning routine is stressing you out more than helping you, then there's a chance that it's maybe a little bit too overwhelming for you. You're trying to put too much on your plate, or you've just outgrown it and you need to make some changes there. So your morning routine should make you feel good, make you feel like you're in a positive energy, positive frequency for the day, and help you have a more successful day. And with that being said, I want to share 8 non-negotiables for me that I have in my morning routine that can serve as some inspo for you guys and maybe help you set up your own morning routine. And this is all with the idea in mind for low stress and hormone friendly first thing in the morning. If you guys have been following along for a while, you've probably heard me talk in some of my episodes or maybe on social media. I've mentioned a little bit about my health journey recently. I have been on a hormone healing journey. Really, for the last 2 years, I've been trial and erroring things, reading books, taking courses, learning everything that I can about women's hormones because I came off birth control and my hormones were a hot mess. And things like moving to a new country, running my own business, and just being go, 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 trying to live that boss babe life really put me in a place of burnout. So between coming off birth control, burnout, and having a parasite, my hormones were not in the greatest state, right? So this is something that I've really been working on healing, and it's insane how much better I feel since I started doing these things. So rolling into number 1 is waking up without a blaring alarm. I know this sounds crazy because it's most of us need an alarm to wake up, but that traditional iPhone alarm, oh my God, it literally gives me nightmares because it is just so jarring and unpleasant to listen to. To be woken up with that, oh, it's the worst thing ever. So Me personally, I use an app that will track your sleep cycle. Like I wear my watch, my Apple Watch to bed. But what it'll do is it'll like track based on your heart rate, your breathing, the way that you're moving and stuff in the bed and the motion sensors. It'll detect like what sleep cycles that you're in. Some of them are really cool. They'll even like do your basal body temperature. Like if you have like an Aura ring or I do not use that. I use a temp drop for my basal body temperature, but it'll predict, it's not 100% accurate, but predict what stage of a sleep cycle you are in, right? Because when you wake up being jarred out of a deep sleep cycle, this is when you feel terrible. Like you feel groggy, you feel out of it, you have brain fog, you feel grumpy. But when you're woken up in a lighter sleep cycle, this is when you are able to feel more alert, better energy, and have a better mental clarity and just feeling better when you wake up. So you want to do this in the most natural way possible, like you would naturally wake up out of a lighter sleep cycle, because the idea is that, if you were just living historically, you didn't have to wake up for a job at a certain time, you would rise with the sun. You would naturally wake up to something in your environment that when you were in a lighter sleep cycle stimulated you to wake up, right? Your cortisol started to raise, you woke up, the sun was rising because your cortisol rises, your circadian rhythm, your cortisol rises as the sun rises. And you would naturally wake up, right? So finding something that's going to wake you up in the most natural way possible will help support your body's circadian rhythm as well as how you're feeling first thing in the morning. So using some of these sleep detecting apps that can gauge what cycle of your sleep you're in, it will wake you up when you're in a lighter sleep cycle. So you'll set a range of time for it to wake you up. Like say I want to be up by 6:30, I'll set a range for like, okay, between 6:10 and 6:30, it will wake me up when it thinks is the best time to wake me up based on all of those factors. So there's a couple of them. There's one called Rise that I've been using that I think is really cool. It has a lot of sleep data in there. It is a paid app though, so if you're looking for something free, there are some of them out there like Sleep Cycle. Another thing is a Hatch alarm clock or a dupe. I know there's like some dupes out there now because Hatch is like pretty pricey, but it's an alarm clock that actually wakes you up by mimicking sunrise and natural ecosystem sounds like birds chirping, water flowing, stuff like that. So again, much more pleasant to listen to than that nasty Apple default ringtone. Number 2 is no phone when you wake up. So I've been there. I've been so guilty of this too, but the natural inclination to like roll over and grab your phone and look at it, girl, you need to stop that, because this is exposing you to blue light first thing in the morning. It's already putting you in a mental negative place of looking at everybody else's demands of you, right? Emails, text messages, social media. Also jumping on social media and seeing what everybody else is doing is taking you out of that place of putting yourself and your well-being and your mental health first, right? You need to fill up your own cup first before you're looking at what everybody else is doing and pouring into everybody else. So by not looking at your phone, not exposing yourself to technology first thing in the morning, you're really giving yourself a little slice of time where you can prepare your mind and your body for yourself, right? I personally like to do 60 minutes by the time that I get up out of bed. I go, shower, get dressed, brush my teeth, wash my face, all of these things to prepare me for the next step of my day. Takes me about an hour, I would say 45 minutes to an hour. And it's not until I am done those things that I will allow myself to look at my phone. 30 minutes at a bare minimum if you have something dire that you need to check on, but I would say 30 minutes minimum, 60 if you can, 90 would be amazing, but I know that that's really hard for most people. A lot of the time, right, you might need to coordinate with people like pickup times or things that are going on or whatever in your life. So I get that, but really trying not to expose yourself to your phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes when you wake up is a game changer. It also really allows you to become more intuitive and present with how you're feeling first thing in the day. I know for me, like if I don't have that time to myself to do some things phone free, it's really easy for me just to spiral into thinking about everything else, not overwhelmed, but maybe like, just focusing on what I'm doing and going through the motions. I don't actually sit and think and check in with myself. Like, how am I feeling? What does my energy feel like? Like, what is my mood? Do I feel tired? Like, do I feel groggy? Do I feel grounded? Do I feel irritable or on edge, right? All of these things, checking in with those things first thing in the morning before you have distractions of, everybody else and your phone and whatever. That can be a really great time to do that. Number 3 kind of goes in line with what I just said, but doing the basics to get ready every day. The world of a difference of how I feel energetically, confidence wise, just like less stressed when I get ready. Just the bare minimum in the morning is so crazy. Like for a long time, I was really stuck in this slump of rolling out of bed, throwing on either pajama pants or track pants or, maybe whatever workout clothes I was going to wear like 8 hours later. And I would brush my teeth and put on some deodorant and call it a day. I'd be like, I'm showering after my workout later, whatever, right? I wouldn't do my hair. Maybe I would throw it up into a messy bun. I wouldn't put on any makeup. I wouldn't put on any perfume. I wouldn't nothing. I wouldn't put on real everyday clothes. Even if I was putting on activewear, I wouldn't even put on a cute fit. I would just throw on the most comfortable possible thing. And while, yes, it's nice to feel comfortable, especially if you're going to be at home, feeling put together and you actually feel attractive, and this isn't even external validation, this is just for yourself, right? Goes so far with how your energy feels for the day. If you feel put together and you feel confident in yourself and you're feeling good in your skin, you look attractive, you feel attractive, you're going to show up so much better in your day than if you feel like a bum. So doing things like brushing your hair, washing your face, brushing your teeth. Obviously, I hope you guys are brushing your teeth. Putting on a cute outfit, right? Putting on some body spray or perfume or whatever. Obviously, we want to try to be low tox and clean if possible, right? Using good products that aren't going to disrupt our hormones. But again, just, those are steps later in your journey that you could implement, and just using what you have, right, to make yourself feel good is a good start. And, maybe it's putting in a hair oil or whatever it might be, just feeling good about yourself. So this is going to be something that you're going to want to do, and that you can do all of this in that 30 to 60 minutes of no technology when you're not going on your phone first thing. Then next thing for me is, this is kind of up and down for me. It really depends on the day and what I am doing, but a non-negotiable for me is some form of movement. So some days I'll go for a longer walk, a 30 to 60 minute walk, depending on what time I wake up and, what's going on for that day. Some days I'll go for a quick 10-minute walk, right? Just around the block of my neighborhood. Some days I'll do a little bit of a stretch, right? But something for movement first thing in the morning, especially if you work a sedentary job where you sit all day long. Waking up and immediately going to sit all day to come home and then probably sit on your couch, it's just not good for your body, right? Your body needs movement and low impact movement, right? You don't really want to do something super high intensity that's going to spike your cortisol first thing in the morning, if possible, especially if you're somebody who's already stressed out, right? Our cortisol is the highest when we first wake up in the morning because it peaks, with the sun rising to wake us up for the day. And then to go throw in there a high intensity workout, like a HIIT training workout, cardio, it's just not the optimal time to do it, especially because most people do that fasted too, right? They'll feel like they're not hungry in the morning or they can't stomach food, and they'll just go into this high intensity workout at the crack of dawn of 5 or 6 a.m., have not fed their body, probably taking caffeine like a pre-workout or a coffee before. And it's basically just a recipe for a high stress start to your morning and high cortisol and burnout long term. So you want to avoid this if possible. I know sometimes people really like to work out in the morning, get it done first thing. It makes you feel good, and that's great. And if you need to do that, that's fine, but just make sure that you're supporting your body. 1, prior by eating a good breakfast. 2, making sure that you're eating right after to replenish and recover your body, and supporting your body through the rest of the day. Key also being getting good sleep prior to that workout. If you did not sleep for at least 7 hours, you should not be working out first thing in the morning. And this is going to be something that is going to help you because low impact movement, like walking, especially walking, doing a low impact workout, moderate weight training can be okay. But if you've eaten and stuff before, but doing a low impact workout, like walking, like a leisurely walk, can be really great because it can actually activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest digestive system and help with calming your nervous system and aiding in stress management. And then next, number 5 is going to be exposing yourself to daylight for 10 to 15 minutes to support your circadian rhythm and to get vitamin D. So I like to do this every morning, kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone by going for like a minimum of a 10-minute walk, if that's what I'm going to do for my movement, to get outside. And this gets me, exposure to daylight, helping to set my circadian rhythm, which is going to help with hormonal flow, as well as, getting the movement that we talked about before and getting some vitamin D. For those of you who are listening who live in a very cold place, I understand it can be hard getting outside. You feel like the sun is never exposed, but even just getting daylight first thing in the morning when the sun rises can be really helpful to set the circadian rhythm. And believe it or not, you will still get like a little bit of vitamin D if it's not completely clouded over and really dark and gloomy day. Supplementing vitamin D, though, is also something that I highly recommend if you live somewhere very cold and gloomy and dark. I know right now, it's going to start getting better basically moving forward, but up until this point, it's been very dark later into the morning. So if you do have an earlier start to your morning, it can be hard to get out for that walk in daylight exposure in daylight hours. I get that. So adding something in like a daylight lamp or a vitamin D lamp can be really helpful too, to get some exposure first thing in the morning. This is going to sound like super extra, and I'm not saying that you need to do this, but an option could be, if you're somebody who has a treadmill at home or a walking pad, getting a daylight lamp and putting it beside your walking pad and walking on your walking pad or your treadmill in the morning for about 10 or 15, 20, 30, whatever minutes, with getting the exposure from the light. And then number 6 for me, that's an absolute game changer. I notice such a difference in how I feel energetically, mentally, spiritually, stress-wise when I journal in the morning. I highly recommend doing some sort of mindset activity to set your headspace in the right direction in the morning. This is going to be something that's really going to help you with that energetic frequency of vibrating at a higher frequency. So doing something like what I do, which is journaling. I don't do hey, dear diary, today I'm so excited for school. I'm more so on the bullet kind of journaling side, where I just answer some questions. So what I do is I do 3 things that I'm grateful for every day, 2 to 3 affirmations, and then something that I want to accomplish for the day. And then I'll do a little mini check-in of how did I sleep and what is my mood like how am I feeling today? So that way I can look back at that throughout the month and reflect on it at the end of the month. But if you are somebody who's not really into journaling, it's just not your thing, you've tried it, I highly recommend trying guided journaling. Like I said, with a template, it makes it so much easier. It doesn't take a long time. It's not super time consuming. And I find that it's really structured, so it allows you to keep your thoughts really clarified and allow you to not get overwhelmed with what you want to write, right? I think that's the thing with journaling, is a lot of people are I don't really know what to write. So if you have a structure to follow and a template, it makes it so much easier. Other things that you can try are meditations, right? So you can do guided meditations, or you can do your own thing, visualization practices. So this is where you can sit and just visualize what you want your day to look like, or what you want to accomplish, or maybe goals that you have for yourself. You can even do this and look at your vision board if you made a 2024 vision board. Another thing is listening to a recording while doing a visualization. So this is a really cool exercise that I did in a mindset program before, where you write out what an ideal day in your life looks like, whether it's what you want your life to look like right now, what you want it to look like 5 years from now, whatever that might be. You write it out and then you record yourself saying it, and then you pop in some headphones and you listen to it every morning for your visualization, right? So instead of just sitting and trying to blindly visualize based off what's going on in your mind, you're listening and visualizing as you're listening. So that's really cool too. So meditation, journaling, you can do verbal affirmations if you don't want to write them out in a journal. So that can be really helpful. So there are tons of different mindset tools that you can use, but I highly recommend using one of these within, your morning routine. This is where, like I said in the beginning, a little bit of trial and error is probably going to come to play to see what feels best for you. And like I said, this really doesn't have to be something that's all time consuming. For me to sit down and write out 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 affirmations, something I want to accomplish for the day, and a quick little check-in with my mood, literally just rating it out of 10, sleep out of 10, takes me maybe 7 minutes. probably less, like maybe even 5, right? Especially if you get in the habit of doing it all the time. Like it's not something where you're sitting there for like 20 minutes trying to like, figure out what to say. And then number 7 is hydrating. And this is so important for me because how you hydrate in the morning, one, is going to make you feel better from a brain clarity and just energy and overall how you feel throughout the day. So many people start the day dehydrated. Like it's wild to me how many people don't think about it because you just slept for 7, 8, hopefully hours where you didn't drink any water. Chances are you probably didn't drink any water for like 1 or 2 hours before bed because if you did, you'd be up all night peeing. And then you wake up and most people don't drink water until like halfway through the day. Like they just start their day with coffee, right? And coffee's a diuretic. So you're going to be already in a huge dehydrated deficit here. And then you're going to start drinking coffee that's going to make you pee more and dehydrate you more, right? So to make up for that now, that like, we'll say 8 to 10 hour span of not drinking any water, plus then having a diuretic, it's like you're really past the point of dehydration at this point, right? So starting your day with a sufficient amount of water right off the bat, like wake up, brush your teeth, and drink some water will make such a big difference in how you feel and to support your body. This is something that too, like a lot of people don't talk about. Like we'll talk about food before coffee, which is also very important, and you guys have probably heard me preach a lot at this point. But we also don't talk about enough water before coffee, right? So me personally, if you're watching this on the video, you'll see I have this little water bottle here. I will drink one of these before any caffeinated beverages, like ever, at least first thing in the morning. I try to do 2 of them, like a liter before any coffee, but that's going to help balance out a little bit of that dehydration. Also herbal teas. Like herbal teas are great if you're somebody that struggles to get in water and you need like a flavor, or maybe it's the winter and you just don't really like drinking cold water. You want to drink something that's more warm and more cozy. Drinking non-caffeinated herbal teas can be another way that can be great to be hydrated, right? Because a lot of herbal teas will help hydrate you because they aren't a diuretic and they don't have any caffeine, right? So, there are some teas aside from that. Something like a dandelion root tea is a diuretic, so that will make you pee more. But if you're just drinking like basic herbal teas like peppermint tea or, like raspberry leaf tea or whatever else, those will be great to help you with your hydration and give you something that has a little bit more variation than just your run-of-the-mill regular water. Another option too to help with that in retaining more hydration is to have electrolytes in your water, right? So adding in electrolyte packets or salt in your water can be helpful with that. So make sure you drink your water first thing in the morning. And then last, but definitely not least, is breakfast. So breakfast is so important and so underrated. So many people skip it because they're not hungry in the morning, or they're trying to purposely fast to lose weight, or whatever the right reason might be. But eating breakfast in the morning has so many benefits. It's going to help give you essential vitamins and nutrients first thing in the morning to help with energy levels, with less brain fog, with how you feel throughout the day, especially if you're eating a balanced breakfast, which is what I try to do. This is going to help you have less cravings and more balanced energy throughout the whole day, right? Like, typically people who skip breakfast end up feeling so hungry and craving foods later in the day. And some of my go-tos for breakfast are a scrambled egg with ground turkey mix with veggies in there, like spinach and peppers are some of my favorites. I love this because eggs are fantastic, but I find that sometimes they don't give me enough protein for a breakfast. Like if I'm trying to hit my protein goal for the day, and if I start my day with a lower protein breakfast, it's really hard to make it up later without eating a bunch of processed protein. By getting the ground chicken in there with the eggs, I find that makes it a world of a difference. And another one that's really strange that most people haven't heard of before, but I just started this recently. I had it when I was doing part of my gut health protocol, where I had to follow a low inflammation meal plan type situation where I was eating certain foods only, following more of like a Mediterranean style eating, and eggs with quinoa and a bunch of salt was delicious as well. And throw some vegetables and stuff like that in there too. So that's another one to get extra protein in there. With the eggs. And lastly, if I want something sweeter, what I'll usually try to do is like something with some fruit in there. So I love an avocado toast. I'm currently gluten-free because of some of the gut stuff going on. So I will opt for gluten-free bread, if that's available to me. If it's not, I probably wouldn't eat this right now. But obviously, if you guys are eating this, you don't have to eat gluten-free bread. But I would have avocado toast with some fruit on the side. My favorite right now are kiwis and blueberries. And another breakfast that I love too that I just thought of is overnight oats. I typically will do this if I am working out like earlier on in the day, like morning style, like an hour or two after I've woken up. And this will be oats with protein. I'll usually use my vegan protein powder with that. And I'll make sure there's lots of healthy fats in there too, like seeds and nut butters. So I could do like pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, and some almond butter. And I usually won't work out until about like an hour after I've eaten that, just because of digestion, right? Like if you're having fats in a pre-workout meal, it's going to digest a little bit slower. So usually like 60 to 90 minutes is probably a little bit better for a workout, opposed to like 30 to 60 minutes. So kind of just depends like when you're working out and stuff like that. But for a balanced breakfast where you're getting lots of good healthy fats, lots of protein, fiber rich and healthy carbs, those are some of my favorites. So needless to say, don't skip breakfast, guys. It's going to help regulate your hormones, give you better energy, and make you feel way better in the morning. If you are somebody who struggles with eating breakfast right now, start small. Just eat something small in the morning and build on it. And I promise you a week or two in, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm waking up starving. So these were not in any particular order. Also, I want to just say, like, this isn't like I don't go in order of these throughout the morning. These are just things that I implement in my morning routine that are important to me. Typically, like journaling is something that I would do in that period of not being on my phone and stuff like that within the first like 60 minutes of waking as well. So doing things like getting ready, journaling, and having like a drink of water or a tea will be something I do in those like first period of not being on my phone. And then later on in the morning, like once I complete that, I'll like grab my phone, go for a walk, probably listen to a podcast or do something on my phone, answer some client messages, whatever it is, come back and then eat breakfast. So that's typically what a morning routine looks like for me right now, especially trying to focus on my hormone health, healing my hormones, and having a low stress start to my morning. So I hope you guys found that helpful. If you did like this episode, don't forget to leave a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening to. And I will catch you guys in the next one.